What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be talking about the reserve list and 10 cards that are good value pickups. Of course, I've talked about the reserve list, making videos about the good value cards that will probably become more expensive. And I got a lot of cards right in my estimations when I recommended cards previously from the reserve list. I managed to help a lot of people get some good value. This is well before 2021 when the values of reserve list cards exploded. So how I'm going to do this is a descending order of value. So we're going to start out with the most expensive card here, which is Erburg Justice, coming in at around $11. This 2-mana black instant is pretty cool. What I love about reserve list cards is that it's not just that the card itself cannot be reprinted, but Wizards isn't going to just take the same card, give it a different name so they can get around that and reprint it. So you're going to find really unique cards, really unique abilities, things that because they're on the reserve list, you won't see again. So Erburg Justice here, this 2-mana black instant, says target opponent chooses and buries a number of creatures he or she controls equal to the number of creatures put into your graveyard from play so far this turn. That's pretty incredible when you think about it. For only 2 mana, you're leveling the playing field. So you went to town and decided to go off on me? Well, I guess it's time to get some revenge. I love spite plays. I love punishing opponents who decide to go all out, overextend trying to deal with you. It's so satisfying. The next card is Koskin Falls. It's another reserve list card. It's another mechanically unique card that you're not going to see much of anywhere else. It is a worse propaganda in black, but other than that, you do get what is propaganda in black, which should mean something, and it does. It's around a $10 card. These are great value cards because, again, they're useful. I'm not going to make a video recommending a card just because it's on the reserve list. I could have a bunch of creatures on here like narwhals that don't do anything good. Pretty much every card here I think has a legitimate chance to be in a deck and actually serve a good purpose. Next we have Paradigm Shift, another Weatherlight special, and for only 2 mana this sorcery removes all cards in your library from the game, and then you shuffle your graveyard into your library. What's really cool about this is that you could win the game if you combine this with a Thassa's Oracle. If your graveyard is large, you would probably want something that can deal with that first, so that when you play your Thassa's Oracle you can be more likely to win. Again, coming in at around $10, I think it's a fair price for what it is on the reserve list, and also mana value, it's a fair cost. If there's a downside, it's that it is a Hail Mary play. You're not really going to use this for a practical purpose. Next, we have Forexian Tribute. This is a card that has been trending recently, and I think it's because people are starting to recognize it's one of the few ways in mono black that you can destroy artifacts. This 3-mana black sorcery says sacrifice 2 creatures to destroy target artifact. While it's not instant speed, it's a very rare occurrence in mono black, which honestly could make it worth sacrificing 2 creatures. Again, gonna be around a $10 card, but you may not even play this for the artifact removal. You may just want a cheap way of sacrificing 2 creatures. There are a lot of decks that would find value in doing that. Next is a card I've talked about a ton, Altar of Bone. Ice Age is one of those sets where it's hit or miss, mostly miss, but you do have some amazing cards like Altar of Bone and Necropotence. This one is considerably cheaper even though it's actually on the reserve list. It being in white and green means it's not super flexible. You're probably not going to play this in nearly as many aristocrat decks compared to if it were just a green card, but a 2-mana sorcery that sacrifices a creature, so you can search for an even better creature, put that into your hand. I think this is pretty decent value. It's right in that demonic tutor range too, so you're not overpaying for a really good effect. Coming in at around $8, I still think this is pretty cheap. There are a lot of good aristocrat decks that do play white and green, such as with Carador Ghost Chieftain, Yam, that really work well with this. Next we have Meditate, the 3-mana instant from Tempest. You skip your next turn to draw 4 cards. That's not what people like hearing. I know you don't want to skip your next turn, but you're also in blue, and this is also instant speed. So if you play this at the end of your opponent's end step, the opponent who goes right before you, it's not as painful. You're basically speeding through your turn, drawing 4 cards, and maybe holding on to other instants. To do that for only 3 mana I think is good value. Keep in mind blue has pretty much been divination, 3 mana for 2 cards for a long time now. I think basically getting more card draw for the same amount of mana at instant speed is worth a turn if you can just quickly skip over that turn. Only around $7, I think that's a steal. Maybe isn't competitive EDH playable, but drawing 4 cards instant speed for not that much mana, to me that's very appealing in Commander where there are just turns you don't have that much to do anyway. Next we have Apocalypse, also from Tempest. 5 mana red sorcery that says remove all permanents from the game and discard your hand. I think that last condition there is keeping it off of the ban list, quite frankly, because usually when you play cards like these in red, it's because you can follow it up with playing more lands, playing more creatures, artifact ramp. This pretty much ensures that you're not going to be doing that. However, just because a card isn't super playable right now at this moment, doesn't mean that it won't be in the future. That's why I really like this. Again, at $7. All it really is going to take is to have something that says this can't be removed from the game, or that you don't have to really worry about discarding your hand for some reason. And then Apocalypse is going to be a more expensive card. It's not a super practical card like a lot of the ones that I've shown you so far, but if I were to recommend something just off of potential value and increase, Apocalypse is there. Next we have Infernal Tribute, another Weatherlight special. This 3 mana black enchantment says pay 2 and sacrifice a card in play, so a permanent, to draw a card. At only $6, I think this is another good pickup. You are paying 2 mana and sacrificing a permanent, but in black you often have to pay 2 mana and something else like life in order to draw cards anyway. While it isn't super ideal, you can certainly get better sack outlets if you want better sack outlets, or you could get better card draw if you wanted better card draw for the mana. Being an okay combination of both makes it worth looking into. It is fairly costed if you're just looking to get it out there, let it sit on the field. If you have any way of reducing the activated abilities cost, I think that would be a difference maker for your deck. I understand if it's not going to be super appealing otherwise, but I really like this one on the reserve list at only $6. Again, it could be more of the same, it could be that good redundancy, and sometimes in black that's all you really care about. Next we have another black card, Oath of Ghouls. From Exodus, this 2 mana enchantment says during each player's upkeep, if there are more creature cards in that player's graveyard than in target opponent's graveyard, the player may return a creature card from his or her graveyard to his or her hand. At only $5, this is another good pickup. For only 2 mana to have this out there, to have it sit out there. Again, if you're the player who's going to prioritize your graveyard, it's going to be a lot easier to fill it up, so you don't really have to worry about having more creatures in your graveyard than an opponent does. You are only getting a creature to your hand, but that's still amazing. And the next one is perhaps the best value, Circle of Despair from Mirage. This 3 mana white and black enchantment says you can pay 1, sacrifice a creature to prevent all damage to any creature or player from any one source. So let's say your opponent has a massive burn spell, they're probably not going to target you or anything of yours, because all you would have to do is sacrifice a creature to stop it. In combat, this is great because you can sacrifice your chump blockers to protect your more important creatures, have those block and then prevent the damage. It is another Infernal Tribute situation where we have better sack outlets, and we have arguably better ways of preventing damage for 3 mana, but it is an okay combination of both. For only $2.49, this may in fact be the best value card in this entire video. Just a reminder, because something's on the reserve list doesn't mean that it's going to be gold one day. You do have some actual bad cards that are on there. There is this threshold though, where there are cards that are still playable, they're not quite that bad, and I'll admit some of these are not exceptional, but they are still unique. The goal for this video was trying to find something that could either potentially see play in the future, or could right now. And most of these have decent value already. So anyway, that's going to do it for the Commander Pickups Reserve List Edition. Let me know what you think about them in the comment section below. Let me know if any other ones on the reserve list that you would recommend. Commander Void here signing off. I will see you all next time.